Okidoki. Mushoku Tensei Season 2 Part 1 has just finished airing, and it's been a pretty great season. Same great character writing, same great controversies, same crowd of people complaining about how terrible Rudeus is, how deplorable his actions are, and it got me thinking, maybe they're onto something. In fact, maybe we need to take a step further. What if every character in Mushoku Tensei is a terrible person? Now, this is some very serious research that we'll be conducting, so we'll go over a select sample from Season 2 for our experiments. Let's start with Fitz, or as everyone except for Rudeus has already figured out, Sylphiette. Everyone loves Sylphie, right? The shy little elf girl that got the Tokyo Ghoul haircut, always happy to help out Rudeus whenever he needs some advice. What could you possibly hate about her? Well, in episode 6, when Rudeus is trying to find a solution to Zenoba's figure-making problem, Sophie is the one that brings up the idea of buying a slave to do it for him, which is a big no-no, because slavery is bad. Now, you might say Sophie is only a victim of her upbringing, living in a world where slavery is accepted as a normal part of life, but that's kind of dumb. She should just know better. If Rudeus is guilty of being indifferent to slaves, Sophie supports slavery. Well, this is a bad start. One of the more innocent characters turned out to be a bit of a scumbag. Maybe if we take a look at someone else. Let's say Sarah. Remember at the start of the season, the archer from Counter Arrow who's quick to anger, always putting Rudeus down in the first episode? She's a bit of a prickly one, but we start to see a much nicer side to her after Rudeus saves her from eternal tree hugging. In episode 3, after drinking at the local tavern, Sarah and Rudeus are about to stay up and play Super Smash Bros. Ultimate for the entire night, but Rudeus discovers that he can't quite find the batteries for his joystick. Sarah, upset that Rudeus won't be able to play Smash, leaves disappointed and disgusted that gaming night was not meant to be. So, who's in the wrong here? Well, as we had already established, Sarah is always quick to anger, assuming that Rudeus' faulty joystick means he didn't actually want to play Smash with her, so she writes it off by saying she was only doing it out of obligation. This is obviously a lie, trying to convince yourself that you didn't actually care from the very beginning to lessen the pain you feel. We also need to keep in mind that Sarah is a dumb teenager that doesn't know how joysticks work, living in a world that probably doesn't even have proper joystick education. How is she supposed to know any better? So, I guess Rudeus is the terrible one here? When you go over the scenes, Rudeus had ample opportunity to explain himself. He didn't say anything while Sarah was putting her clothes back on. He didn't say anything after Sarah caught Rudeus bad-mouthing her. He didn't chase after Sarah to explain anything, deciding his only two options was to either test out the present he got for Sarah, or to run away to a completely different nation. However, we also need to keep in mind that it's pretty embarrassing to talk about your joystick performance. It's not exactly something you can bring up easily. And Rudeus is also traumatized from the end of Season 1, thinking the reason that Sarah and Eris left him are all his fault, and he can do nothing to stop them. You can't really blame one person for the situation. It's a conflict caused by both parties failing to talk properly, a two-way street that neither one was willing to cross. It's simply an unfortunate turn of events that never gets resolved. So, I guess Sarah isn't all that terrible then? Well, actually, if we take a look at the wiki, we'll find out that Sarah is actually 15 years old. You know what that means, right? Yep, underage drinking. Whoa, wait, there's got to be a good guy in here somewhere, right? What about sweet little Juliet, the slave that became Rudeus' apprentice? Well, I guess she was an accomplice to the kidnapping in episode 7? Maybe Ariel and Luke then? They've done so much to help out poor Sophie. Although, they're conspiring to usurp the Ashran throne. How about Linnea and Persina? Bullying and vandalism. Soldat, assault. Shizuka? Dream simp. Zanoba? Literal child manslaughter. Ellen Elise?
ルーデスぐらいの年の子に興味が湧いてきましたの。ルーデスぐらいの年の子に興味が湧いてきましたの。
Well, I was actually coming out here to pick up a cupcake.
Which leads us back to where it all begins. Rudeus Greyrat. Where do you even start with him? Theft, assault, kidnapping, molestation, unlawful imprisonment without food or water, threatening violence, being kind of rude, underage drinking, also supports slavery, animal abuse, starting a cult, crybaby. The list goes on and on. So, that's it, right? Every single character in Mushoku Tensei is a terrible person. The fact that merely the main character is so awful is unforgivable, right? But there is one more person that is even worse than Rudeus Greyrat. You. By watching an anime filled with such morally grey characters consuming such heinous media, are you not also condoning every single thing that happens? Does enjoying this show not mean that you are guilty via compliance? You can't just separate yourself from a fictional story, that's crazy talk. All of you are bad little boys and girls waiting to be spanked by your parental guardians. Isn't that right, Twitter? I actually go by X now. Anyway, this is why everyone in Mushoku Tensei, you and me included, are all terrible people. Please kindly take yourself to your local police station, you disgusting animal. And thanks for watching. Come back next week where I explain why video games cause violence.